All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Elohim. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. And we're going to pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures. For in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my word? Shalom, Brother Margaret, man. Hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. Let's pick this up in Leviticus 25 and 22, man, and get this show on the road. On the road. We got a lot of things to cover, if you will permit, and we got made do what it do. So when we look at Leviticus 25 and 22, you know it says, and you shall sow the 8th year and eat of the old fruit until the 9th year, until her fruits come in, you shall eat the old. Listen, you know Proverbs 11 and 30 say the fruit of the righteous is as a tree of life, and he that wins souls is wise. Shalom, Yashamine. You know what I'm talking about? And you know that a wholesome tongue is as the tree of life. And you know that he that eateth of the fig tree, or guard the fig tree, will eat of the fruit thereof. So is he that waiteth on his master. See, I'm glad Yasha here, man, because I was going to bring something up to you, man. We had a conversation with people Sunday, man. Yasha was there. My old lady was there. We was in the grocery store when it was going down. And I'm only referencing this to show you this here, man, about some people can be so pedantic, if you would, so anal retentive about certain things that they'll miss a particular point because they just want to argue and be so smart. Let me tell you, gentlemen, something, man. Don't never forget this here. It's never the number one key thing, man, when you explain anything in life to anybody is that your audience understands what you're saying. If you remember this Matthew 13 and 52, remember he said, have you understood all these things? And they say, yea, Lord. See, one thing I noticed on the app, I noticed it before I was even in the word, before I even got on Clubhouse or any of this thing here, man. And I learned this in a book I read when I was in high school, Niggas of God's Volume 2, if I'm not mistaken. And then my big homie told me this here. And then I had other people in every walks of life, different walks of life, reinforce this here, man. Your number one key point when you are espousing anything, especially something dealing with instruction, is that you need to make sure that your audience understands you. See, a lot of people will use certain words, and it's really to be condescending, to make themselves seem like they're smarter than the people who they're talking to. You know what I'm talking about? They don't really care about, yeah, most definitely. You know what I'm saying? Most niggas is not, they don't care about relating to who they're talking to. It was funny because right before we had this conversation with these people, man, my homeboy sent me a video with David Banner, God bless Brother Langford, saying the same thing. You know what I'm saying? He was like, dude, talk about pontificate. Niggas in the street don't know what that means, and they don't. See, let me show you something in 1 Corinthians chapter 9. I don't even think I got that page in my book, man. You know what I'm saying? Shalom, Brother Vaughn, man. Let me show you something, man. Always remember this here, man, because the key point should be for the people to understand the message that you're trying to get across and whatever it is that you're trying to get across. You know what I'm talking about? Shalom, Brother Marvin, man. That's the number one objective. See, I'm going to tell y'all what we were talking about. So they were talking about, is Yahushua Yahuwah, and was he begotten or was he created? Now, see, the thing is, I was like, of course, see, the man say he was created. Now, this is my mindset, bro. And if y'all had that same mindset, you could say yay. And if you don't, you can say nay, because it's okay. Let me tell y'all something, right? This is not a particular space where you just feel like you got to agree or go along with every point of view that I may have. If you have a different point of view, then you need to be man enough to share it. It's okay. Ain't nobody going to look at you and be like, what's wrong with this nigga? Everybody has their point of view and perspective, and as a man, it is welcome for you to share them. That's not a big deal. That's not an issue. We men over here. You know what I'm talking about? We're not tender dicks. We ain't soft around the anus. So you sharing your point of view and perspective is encouraged. It is not discouraged. And you should never shy away in this particular space in doing so. You know what I'm talking about? It's not that big of a deal. I don't know. Of course, I hear people saying that in certain spaces and places that men can't do that where the word is being instructed. Well, this is not one of those locations. You know what I'm talking about? We all men here, we should be able to converse as men. And even if we don't see eye to eye, we should still be able to understand each other's perspective as men and not be falling out because of difference of words, difference of perspectives or point of view. We men, that should not happen. It just shouldn't happen. You know what I'm saying? It should not happen. We ought to be mature enough as men to be able to do that. But with that being said, these people are hard pressed to say, no, begot and create. You saying that this, that, and the third. I'm like, nigga, nobody in the real world says I begot my son. No one talks like that. Nobody say, yes, this is my third begotten son. Yes, me and my wife just begat a son. You say I made a son. I created a son. This is how regular people talk. So when they were conversing and they were espousing their point of view, I said, okay, now I see the difference of the word usage for y'all. In actuality, in reality, we agree. But they were so hard pressed to say, make a delineation between begat and begot and create, that I really wanted to tell them niggas something that would not be appropriate for me to say. And then they thought it was a game. See, I should say they're playing semantics. You know what I'm saying? Like this here, like straight up and down, just to argue. That was it. That's literally what they were doing, just to argue. Because I'm like, my nigga, and I told him this on here. I'm outside. I'm outside. Nobody outside talks like that. Most of these brothers on here got plenty churn. I ain't never heard them say, this is my third begotten son. This is my only begotten son. Nobody talks like that. So for us, if we say, oh yeah, Hamashiach was created, we're going to look at it as he was begotten of the Father, because real people don't talk like that. If you was to go outside and talk to somebody like that, man, they're going to look at you like you stupid. They're going to look at you like you stupid. Like, what's wrong with you? I'm not finna listen to you. And like Yasha said, because he was there, they did that just to argue. See, they really got upset when I told them this here. I'm done with this conversation. Do not mention me. Do not speak towards me. Do not speak about me. Because if you do, I will straighten you. Because I don't know what you think this is, or never mind who you thought I was, but ain't no pussy nigga over here, bro. I'm not with it. I'm not going to play this game with you. Because clearly you don't want to be men. Now, why did I mention that? Because some of you brothers may witness to people, not necessarily teaching word, but witness to people. Share the goodness of Yahuwah. I encourage it. You know what I'm saying? Share it with people. You know what I'm talking about? But make sure that when you share with people that you can actually effectively communicate your message, that the person who is listening to you can understand. Because if the person who can listen to you cannot understand what you're saying, you're wasting your time. I literally told this man that this information should be able to be imparted to a 7-year-old child. And do you know these niggas argue with me about that? Because you know this, because the word say you're supposed to teach your sons. So this word is supposed to be communicated in a fashion where it's simplistic enough for you to teach your son. Not when your son 15, but when your son 5. When your son 7. You know what I'm talking about? Shalom, Brother Ellis, man. He said, yeah, that's the dilemma people had in his hometown because they were hung on Joseph being his father. And you already know. But let me read you this 1 Corinthians 9 and 19. Of why I referenced that book-wise, you dig? So, for though I be free from all, yet I have made myself a servant unto all, that I might gain the more. Now, we've been talking about that from the Genesis 47 to the Leviticus 25 because of Jubilee. Because of where the Ruach of Hamashiach is, there is freedom. So, because we've been made free from all, but yet Paul is saying, but I am making myself a servant unto others. So, this is the key point that you have to understand. Though you are free from men, your objective is to be able to serve men. See, I had a conversation with these gentlemen Saturday night. And in that conversation, they were asking, do we teach about the Holy Spirit? I said, what do you mean? I said, we do that all the time. But see, they were talking about in the regards of Trinitarianism, oneness, modalism, and Unitarianism. I don't know what none of that stuff is, my nigga. I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't even take the time to research it because I don't give a damn about that conversation. And I'm sharing this with y'all because at the end of the day, I'm a servant to y'all. See, it's my job to edify you with the word as Yahuwah see fit. Not teach you something that I want to teach you because that's what I want to do. See, they told me I should teach y'all about oneness Unitarianism. I said, I ain't gonna lie to you. I said, man, my people will get up and leave, bro. I say, man, my people don't care about none of that stuff you talking about, my nigga. They don't even know what that means. They don't even know what that means. They don't care. Do you know, and I'm sharing this with y'all because of the key point where I be telling y'all, man, that these people don't give a damn about us. Do you know that these people said I should teach y'all about that anyway, even though I know you don't care, even though I know you desire things that can strengthen your faith and allow you to purge yourself from whatever iniquity is dwelling in your heart or whatever lust of the flesh is dwelling there so that you can perfect yourself so you can have a reward in heaven? Do you know that I explained all this to these men in depthly and they didn't give a damn? They said we should teach it anyway. And I'm telling you, man, I'm really getting to the point that I want to start to be very disrespectful. I'm talking about very disrespectful. I'm trying to maintain professionalism, but these dudes is because that really pissed me off. Because I'm like, bro, you supposed to deal with the people based off what they need, not what you want to tell them. I say, man, y'all niggas having theological conversations, seminary conversations. Real life people don't care about this. They don't. They don't. Yeah, and that very, he said, yeah, we just want to be, that's right, and have a clear, amen, Jay. You know what I'm saying? Johnny Goes, you already know what it is. You don't know, I get what the Trinity is, but the thing is we're not going to talk about it because nobody here cares. See, that's theological / scholar conversations. But regular, real people who outside, who going through the struggles and pains of life, which you who are willing, we're going to talk about it in a minute. They don't care about that. They don't care about that. See, I'm telling you this here in regard that when you step outside and you say, I represent Yahuwah, I want to talk about Yahuwah, the people. You got to serve the people according to who the people are and what they need, not what you want to give them. See, if you want to serve people by what you want to give them, you're doing that for yourself. You don't work for Yahuwah. You don't work for Yahuwah. Because Yahuwah ain't going to give you a word to give these people because this is what I want to teach them. Let me show you what I'm talking about before I read. Come over here to Isaiah 50. Now, I'm not saying this in regards to me. I'm saying this in regards to what a servant of Yahuwah ought to do. You dig? You can take this and you can do what you want to with it. Isaiah 50:4. Listen to it. I'll read verse 1 on general principle. Thus saith Yahuwah, wear the bill of your mother's divorcement, whom I have put away, or which of my creditors to whom I have sold you. I'm just reading that one there because we're talking about Jubilee and we're talking about being in debt. As we just seen that in Genesis 47, we're going to rehash that a little bit. Yahuwah willing, you know, we got to swing back to Job 28. You know what I'm talking about? To get some of the things that we got in there. You know what I'm saying? What Alicia just asked about in John 5, that ain't going to take us that long. If we don't get it tonight, y'all willing, we'll get it on the Shabbat. Shalom, Ishmael. He said, behold, your iniquities have you sold yourselves, and for your transgressions is your mother put away. See, this is what we have to understand. When you commit sin, you in debt. You in debt. You need somebody to pay that debt off. Yeah, we're going to look at that in Leviticus 25, Yahuwah willing. If not, tonight they're going to be on Shabbat. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, man. That's what Jubilee is about. Again, let me ask y'all this question. Make sure you remember. What feast day coincides with Jubilee? What feast day coincides with Jubilee? I just need one and we're going to keep pushing. According to your law, what feast day coincides with Jubilee? That's right, Civic. Atonement. That's right, Brother Marvin. Atonement. You know what I'm talking about? Day of Atonement is what coincides with Jubilee because a Jubilee is about reconciliation or releasing from debt. Or releasing from debt. You know what I mean? So we have to remember that. It's all about releasing from debt. I think it's about verse 9 or 10, Brother Langford, in Leviticus 25, where you'll see that at. Might be verse 8, somewhere in there, though, brother. Well, this is verse 2 of Isaiah 50. Wherefore, when I came, no man. When I called, none to answer. Is my hand shortened at all that it cannot? Tell Chris, I can dig it. I tell him I can dig it. He on point. He says, is my hand shortened at all that it cannot redeem? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let him know he had been acknowledged. And good job. That it cannot redeem, or I have no power to deliver. Behold, at my rebuke, I dry up the sea. I make the rivers a wilderness. Their fish stink because no water and die for thirst. I clothe the heavens with blackness. I make sackcloth their covering. Yahuwah Elohim has given me the tongue of the learned, that I should know how to speak a word in season to weary. He wakened morning by morning. He wakened my ear to the learn. Listen to what this man said, right? I want you to pause for a minute. I want you to pay attention to what he said. He said that this man has given him the tongue of the learned. What is tongue? Of course, you know that's Lashon. What is learned? That is Lamud. Again, this is someone who is taught, who is learned, who has been discipled. What is the first key component that you have to do in order to be discipled? You got to be willing to forsake everything that you have. He said, if you're not willing to do that, you can't even be his disciple. So we're just discussing that because in order to be learned, you have to learn that first. Let's go ahead and look at it in Luke 14:26 for those who may not be aware. We hold in Isaiah 50, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, and then we're going to make it do what it do from there, Yahuwah willing. Luke 14:26. If I can get there, we might can make something happen. There we go. 14-25. There went a great multitude with him, and he turned and said unto them. So I want you to know he was talking to everybody. This wasn't a conversation just for the apostles. He was talking to everybody there, letting you know the cost of discipleship, letting you know the cost of Lamud, letting you know the cost of being a Talmud, letting you know the cost of being learned and taught of him. There's a cost you got to pay. You got to sit back and ask yourself, are you willing to pay that cost? He finna tell you. If any come to me and have not and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, and yea, his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. You got to sit back and you got to assess yourself. You heard that man told you? He said, everybody in your family, young man. See, he ain't talking to no women. He talking to you. He talking to the men. He said, if you're not willing to put Yahuwah before all of that, he can't teach you nothing. See, that's why a lot of people who teach the word, they ineffective. See, they got idols in their heart, like in Ezekiel 14, because they done put things before Yahuwah. You got to ask yourself, you got something in your heart, man, that's coming before Elohim, you better get rid of it. Because if you don't, he can't teach you. He's very explicit and specific in that regard. He said what he meant, and he meant what he said. If you have anything in your heart that come before him, even your own life, he can't instruct you. He can't teach you nothing. He said, whosoever do not bear his stake and come after me cannot be my disciple. Now look at this one here. Anybody who does not execute any manner of self-control, he can't teach you nothing. Paul, 1 Corinthians chapter 4, for specificity. You know what I'm talking about? Let's get specific with it. Let's see what the apostle got to say in regards to that comment from the Lord. Let's listen to how he expound that. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 1. For as much then as a Mashiach have suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind. He that suffered in the flesh have ceased from sin, that he should no longer live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of Elohim. So if you remember Luke 9:23 say, take up your stake daily and follow him. So if you're not willing to suffer in the flesh and deny yourself any lustful desire that'll be contrary to the will of God, this man can't teach you. Can't teach you nothing. See, he done gave you two caveats. You gotta mortify your members, and you can't have nothing before him. Don't this sound like what he told your forefathers on Mount Sinai? Ain't that's what he told your forefathers on Mount Sinai? And how do you know he told your forefathers that on Mount Sinai? Because he told you not to covet. And what is covet? That's lust. Huh? Ain't that what Paul told you in Romans 7? I would have not known lust except the law said, thou shalt not covet. So he ain't telling you nothing but what you were told on Mount Sinai. Have no other God before me and don't covet. Come on back to Luke 14. Joanne, I'm not playing with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be O on your butt. 14:27. Luke. And whosoever do not bear his stake and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you intending to build a tower sit not down first and count the cost, whether he have to finish? See, a lot of people, you jump in the word and you ain't sat down to count the cost if you can pay it. Because some of you don't want to put your wife, some of you don't want to put Yahuwah before your wife. Some of you don't want to put Yahuwah before your kids. Some of you don't want to put Yahuwah before your parents. Some of you don't want to put Yahuwah before yourself. And you most definitely don't want to pick up your stake and follow him because you don't have any desire to execute any manner of discipline in your life. Less happily, this is verse 29, after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all that behold began to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king going to make war against another king sit not down first and consult whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that come against him with 20,000? Or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he send the ambassadors and desire conditions of shalom. So likewise, whosoever be of you that forsake not all that he have, he cannot be my disciple. See, this is why a lot of people don't have the tongue of the learned, because you haven't done what the man told you to do. Yeah, they ain't did that. Let's come back to Isaiah chapter 50, man. He said that you should know how to speak a word in season to him that is weary. Well, what is this when we talking about somebody who is weary? Weary is ya'afe. What is that? To be faint, to be weary, to be fatigued, to be exhausted. See, this is what a lot of people don't want. This is why you know these people don't work for the Lord, because they want to be able to teach you what they want to teach you instead of having to be the ability to speak a word in a proper time to those who are weary, who are fatigued. See, we done got in this word and we done forgot that because you done learned so much that you think the stuff that you done learned is more important to be able to expound into somebody. You understand? And you have forgotten that the people are out here suffering, and not just suffering in regards from the oppression from a corrupt institution, but just suffering from the day-to-day aspects of life. Man, niggas get in the word and forget life is hard. And that life in and of itself can leave people mentally destroyed, emotionally ravaged. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't talking about just interactions with other people. I'm just talking about life in general. And then you've forgotten that this is the curse that he laid on man on top of that. Oh, y'all forgot about that, didn't you? Y'all do know that he laid that curse on man, right? That you'd have sorrows your entire life. You forgot about that? I think we done forgot about that. Oh, you thought that was just a mere suggestion that he was making? We're going to look at it tonight, though. Yeah, man, we're going to look at it tonight, though. Let's come swing back over here to 1 Corinthians chapter 9, man. Verse 19. He say, for though I be free from all, yet have I made myself a servant unto all that I might gain the more. Unto the Yahudim I became a Yahudim, that I might gain the Yahudim. To them that are under the law as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law. To them that are without the law as without the law, being not without the law to Elohim, but under the law to Hamashiach. Paul, what y'all think that means? Because, see, you know, a lot of people be having arguments about keeping the law of Christ, the law of Moses. That nigga talking, in my opinion. That's a bunch of doggone word salad to have people misdirection, Stanley. What do you think this means when he say not without the law of Elohim, but under the law to, because at that point he's saying they got the law of God, but they don't got the law of Hamashiach. What is the law of Hamashiach? What is that law? Who can tell me what is that instruction? What do you believe that is? I got two locations for you in my mind, but I want to see what's in your mind. What y'all got for me, man? What y'all believe this law of Christ that he said they not under, that he referring to? Because he said they under the law of God. Love God and love your neighbor. To love one another. And you know what? I ain't got no problem with that retort. None at all. But I want you to think a little further. Though. Let me see what y'all come up with, man. If not, we got three brothers came up with something. Civic say Deuteronomy 6 and 5, which is the love of Yahuwah. But see, I want y'all to pay attention, right? When you mention love God and love your neighbor, is that not under the law of God? Are those not the laws of God? So they would be under those already. He said, but they without the law of a Mashiach. So what law would this be? And you know what? I could allow that. This is Deuteronomy 30 you're referring to. I wouldn't have no problem with that. That ain't one I had in mind, but we could use that also. So this is what I had in mind. Let's go to Deuteronomy 18 and then we'll read Deuteronomy 30. That book just mentioned. But Deuteronomy 30. Deuteronomy 18 is good. I ain't gonna lie, Deuteronomy 30 is better. I guess it's the same thing, but Deuteronomy 30 is a little better as far as expounding on that point, in my opinion. Deuteronomy 18 and 15. You, your Elohim, will raise up unto you a prophet from the midst of you of your brethren. Like unto me, unto him shall you hearken. According to all that you have desired, Yahuwah your Elohim and Horab in the day of the assembly, let me not hear again the voice of Yahuwah my Elohim, neither let me see this great fire anymore, that I die not. And Yahuwah said unto me, they have well that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet among their brethren, like unto you, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass, whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. Understand the God? They had the law of Moses, and you pretty much just said the same thing she said, which is the law of faith. You know what I'm talking about? Stanley, you pretty much said the same thing she said. Let's come over here to Deuteronomy 30. Dare say Romans 3 and 21. We'll look at that right now. Come over here to Deuteronomy 30 right after Deuteronomy 30. We go to Romans 3 and 21. Excuse me, y'all done shook the table. And then Matthew 17. So when we come over here to Deuteronomy 30, verse 11. For this commandment which I command you this day is not hidden from you, neither is it far off. It is not in Shamaim that you should say, who shall go up for us to Shamaim and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. But the word is very near unto you, in your mouth and in your heart, that you may do it. So that's what you're looking at. See, a lot of people say the law of Christ, they weren't under the, which is truth be told, what Brother Langford mentioned, and what Sid mentioned with the Deuteronomy 6 and 5, loving Yahuwah with all your heart and all your strength. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, that's Pops. Oh, for sure. Man, look here, man. All I see is Stanley McCrary. That's all I see. Pops on point with that one, though. You know what I'm talking about? So listen, right? When you hear that, that's what they weren't under. They were under the law of God, but they didn't believe. You know what I'm talking about? So he got to serve them based on what they need, not what he want to give them. See, I got enough sense to know that, man, I'm not going to be sitting in here talking to you about no Unitarianism, no oneness. This thing's talking about oneness modalism. Nigga, what the hell is that? He talking about, you done talked to a oneness modalist before. I say, no, the hell I haven't. Well, you just didn't know it. I'm like, nigga, no, I haven't. You know what I'm talking about? I don't talk to seminary school graduates and theologians, man. Nigga, ain't none of my homeboys on that, man. Ain't none of these brothers on that, man. Man, I only know one person who been anywhere near seminary school, and that's Trav. And Trav probably don't even know what the hell that is by title or name or whatever they were talking about. That's the only person who I know personally that done been to the seminary school. I know of some people who've been, but I'm talking about this is the only person I know personally that I can call him and talk to him. That I know what I'm saying, yeah, no, I don't know nothing about all that. We ain't talking about none of that. We don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? We don't care about that. But people don't be wanting to hear that, man, because people want to do what they want to do. We come over here to Romans 3 and 21, though. Hey, don't let them things in there burn now. Oh, I thought Muffin put them in there. Oh, that's why I said that. I thought she put them in there. Romans 3 and 21. But now the righteousness of Elohim without the law is manifested, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. You see how that takes us back to the law and the prophets was until John. Now the kingdom of Elohim is preached. See, I got something else for that when it comes to Adam. See, I told Boop last night, man, we done talked about a lot of Yahushua being Adam, but this go round, Yahuwah willing, we're going to try to exhaust every avenue that can be exhausted to show you how Yahushua fulfilled the work of Adam. Because Adam's story is brief, but by the grace of God, we done seen a lot of what Yahushua did in a real small story, have we not? Let Yahuwah be his thing. I'm going to read that again now. Now the righteousness of Elohim without the law is manifested, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. You see how that's going back to they're not without the law of God, but without the law of Hamashiach. See how that works? See how that go back to Deuteronomy 30, Deuteronomy 6 and 5, Deuteronomy 18? Because it's all the same word. So when you see him say the righteousness of Elohim without the law, and guess what? That takes us back to the garden. Because Adam had the righteousness of Elohim without the law, did he not? So he had it without it. Verse 22, even the righteousness of Elohim by faith of Yahushua HaMashiach unto all, and upon all them that believe, for there is no difference. For all have sinned and come short of the esteem of Elohim, being righteous freely by his grace, or justified freely by his grace, through the redemption that is in Mashiach Yahushua, which is what we're talking about in Genesis 47, which is we're talking about in Leviticus 25, whom Elohim has set forth a propitiation through faith in his blood, to declare his righteousness for the remission of sins that are past through the forbearance of Elohim, to declare at this time his righteousness, that he might be just and the justifier of them which believe in Yahushua, which is Isaiah 53, that he shall make many righteous. You know what I'm talking about? Through the knowledge of him. I done said it wrong. Let me read it to you. Listen, the words is not clicking in my mind. But in Isaiah 53 and 10, the knowledge of my righteous servant will justify many. That would have said in Isaiah 53. The knowledge of my righteous servant will justify many. That's all that verse 26 telling you in Romans 3. 3 and 27, book of Epistle of Romans, where a boasting then is excluded by what law? Of works? Nay, but by law of faith. Therefore, we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. See, that's what you would have seen in the garden with Adam if he would have ate from the tree of life. He would have been justified without the law. This is why he did not let him partake in the tree of life, because then he would have been justified. But see, he wanted to be justified by, and when I say he, I'm talking about male and female made he them and called them Adam. You know what I'm talking about? Because we know it's the woman who did it, but she came of him. He died with it. We know all that. What we're referring to is this. They wanted to be righteous according to the works of the law, so there was no way that he was going to let them be righteous by works of faith. That would have to come in later, because he could have been justified by faith off top. Off top. See, we've been pissing people off lately on the Clubhouse app by unequivocally stating that we threw them niggas in a frenzy. They had to make a whole room about it because they had never heard it before. See, this is why I tell you, man, we have to constantly and consistently give all praise and thanks to Abba and Shamahim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach for understanding. Because the stuff that seemed very simplistic and like you can't see that for us, it's like these niggas is tripping to other people. I promise you. And some of you brothers who listen to these people, when we had this conversation, you could hear they seem bewildered and befuddled by something that to us is very plainly made manifest. See, that's the grace of Elohim. That's no greatness of our own. That's not no studying that I done did, that I'm just such a great teacher. None of that. That is all Yahushua. You understand me? Because we can't come to the Father but by him. So that ain't nobody but the Father's will for us to be able to understand that, so that we can be able to draw closer to him. So you got to give praise to Elohim for that, because that's all him. All him. You know what I'm talking about? You should thank him continually, because his mercy endures forever. He given us. That's why I always tell y'all this here, man. All this stuff, all these other people talking, they might know this and they might be able to do this, but they going to go to hell because he not giving them no understanding. I don't know why he not giving them no understanding. That's not my place to speak on it, because that ain't none of my business. You know what I'm talking about? But what I do know is that he giving us understanding. So we're going to praise his name. I ain't got nothing to do with what he doing with other people. I can't speak on that. You know what I'm saying? That's what he do. Got upset with me, them same dudes we were talking about begot and create, because they was like, you not going to go after Unitarians. I'm like, go after them for what? You're a laissez-faire. That ain't no laissez-faire attitude. I don't care what they talking about. You know why I don't care what they talking about? Because in Matthew 15, what did the Lord tell his apostles to do when it came to the scribes and Pharisees? He said, leave them alone. They blind leaders of the blind. And if they both be blind, they going to fall in a ditch. You know, that's sucker stuff to me, man. I'm just going to keep it a bean with you. That's sucker stuff to me, bro. That's hoe stuff to me. That's feminine, that you feel like you got to go start a fight and argument with everything you see and disagree with. You a buster. You know what I'm talking about? Some men know how to mind their business. See, dude tried to hit me with, well, what about when Paul say some mouths got to be stopped? He said, yeah, there's some vain talkers, especially they of the circumcision, who mouths must be stopped. See, that's when wisdom come in, when you know how to do that. See, I told a nigga, I said, well, I can be like Jeremiah with Hananiah, man, and hear you talking and say, amen, let you who will bring it to pass and keep on walking. You know what I'm talking about? Because if he don't put it on my mind to come back and jack slap you across the head, then I ain't going to do nothing. I told this nigga, if you bring some false doctrine my way, bro, I will crack your skull to the white meat, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Because you got the right one. But you talking about going to look for a fight, bro? You out your rabbit mind, nigga. What I look like, man? It's souls to be saved out here. You think I'm finna go find a nigga to argue with? I told this nigga straight up, man, nigga, I don't argue with my old lady, bro. I ain't arguing with my churn. I definitely not finna argue with no man or no woman I ain't dropping no meat off in. What I look like arguing with a woman I ain't having sex with? That's insane. Niggas be on here arguing with women they ain't I'm not arguing with a woman I ain't having relations with, bro. That don't even make sense to me. Go back and forth with a woman I don't take care of, I'm not copulating with. Absolutely not. I'll tell you quick, baby, you got it. Man, that'd be a disgrace to my father and who buried in Edgewood Cemetery for me to go back and forth with you, huh? What I look like? That ain't got to be because she talking about some word. I'm talking about in life, period. I'm not going back and forth with you, man. For what? Why am I doing that? That don't make no sense to me, man. It's like it's grown men who get up every day and they looking to argue Bible. That's insane to me, bro. That's what you look to do? If you get up, man, let me tell y'all something, man. This is real talk, man. I don't care if you get on Club. I don't care if you get on Facebook. I don't care if you get on Instagram. Nigga, I don't care if you get on YouTube, TikTok, whatever you doing. If you get up in the morning, man, shoot, even in flesh, in real life, if you get up in the morning, man, and you got an objective to argue Bible, man, you need to go back to sleep. You need to go back, get back in your bed, get back up under the covers, man, and sleep for another 30 to 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and get up and try again. Because you wild. You wild. Like you wild. And I mean that from the depths of my soul, man. Man, if you get up in the morning, man, and you got the intent to argue with somebody else about the word of Yahuwah, bro, you need to get back in the bed, bro. And you need to start over again because you got up with the wrong mentality. Your mind all messed up, man. You thinking backwards. That don't make sense, bro. And if I'm wrong, somebody let me know. You know what I'm saying? Because I could be wrong. But I don't see it that way, man. That is not the first thing on my mind. But I'm going to argue Bible with a nigga today. No, I'm not new, man. No. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. Having conversations with people about the word is different. Peace, bro. Having conversations with people about the word is different. But if you getting up with an explicit purpose to contend, it's something wrong with you, bro. You need to get yourself together. Real talk. Get yourself together. You know what I mean? 3:28, man. Romans. Therefore, we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law, the Elohim of the Yahudim only, not also of the Gentiles, yes, of the Gentiles also, seeing one Elohim which shall justify the circumcision in faith and uncircumcision through faith. Do we then make void the law through faith? Elohim forbid. Yea, we establish the law. Faith don't make the law Yeah. We ain't talking about rebuking somebody, you know, making so somebody get on the right track. These boys get up early in the morning looking to argue. At 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, man, I ain't thinking about arguing with nobody. That's too early in the morning talking about having an argument. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to argue with myself at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's crazy to me, man. Matthew 17, that's crazy, man. Everybody different, man. You know, live your life how you want. Ain't none of my business. I'm just not finna participate with you. – 17:5. That's all we want. Matthew 17:5. Johnny Ghost said he thinking about work. Got early. Man, you up that early, man. First thing should be on your mind is Yahuwah. Get things that you alive. Then I would hope next thing on your mind is either what you need to get accomplished for the day or your family. You know what I'm saying? Or the fact, boy, I'm tired. I don't feel like getting up. Let me get myself about this bed. Not you chomping at the bit to argue with another man. Hey, hush your mouth. Matthew 17:5. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud, which said, this is my beloved son, and whom I'm well pleased. Look what he told you to do. Hear you what? Him. Believe him. Let's finish this 1 Corinthians 9, man. Let's get to what we need to get to. I remember 21 again. To them that without the law, as without the law, not being not without the law to Elohim, but under the law to Hamashiach, that I might gain them that are without the law. To the weak became I as weak, that I might gain the weak. I made all things to all, that I might by all means save some. And this I do for the gospel's sake, that I may be a partaker with. You know what I'm saying? The objective is, because guess what, man? You can walk into a room of 100 people, you ain't saving everybody. You ain't saving everybody. Man, you'll be blessed if you can get 2 people to hear what you're talking about. So you know what a lot of people problem is with the word? You think you're going to walk in a room of 100 people and you think you're going to get 80 of them. So this is what ends up happening. You come with watered down information that you know is going to appeal to the carnal machinations and inclinations of people, to their desires, to their thought processes. You know what I'm saying? And you think that that's going to win them over and they're going to serve. But in reality, you might have brought in 80, but out of that 80, man, only 1 to 3 of them, 5 at the most, really want to do that. Yeah, everybody don't want to do this, man. I don't know why y'all think everybody want to be saved. Why you keep telling yourself that? Has not life shown you repeatedly that this is not what everybody want? This is not what everybody want, man. This is not what everybody want to do. It's not. See, y'all thought us knowing we the Israelites was going to make... No, that's still showing you this ain't what people want to do. See, you think just showing up mean this is what somebody want to do. Man, it got to be deep down in your soul, man. It's got to permeate through your essence, man. You got to really have your mind made up, like we read in Luke 14, man, that this is what you want to do. A lot of people, man, and most of these brews ain't telling nobody, man, you count the cost, man, that this is what you want. You know what you got to do? You willing to do that? Man, most of these niggas ain't willing to do nothing. They ain't willing to do nothing. You know what I'm talking about? And see, when I talk about willing to do nothing, I'm not talking about doing things on the natural side of things, man. Because there's a lot of brothers on the natural side of things ready to do a lot of things, and more respect to them. I know a few. You know what I'm talking about? They willing to do a lot of things. These boys willing to build houses. They willing to pay food. They willing to raise livestock. They willing to do all that. But the vast majority of people, when they come to their word, when you talking about that man say you got to hate everybody in your family, even yourself, that you got to take up your stake and follow him and forsake everything that you got, boy, everybody ain't with. Man, most people like that rich ruler, boy. And you ain't even rich. You ain't willing to forsake everything he ain't want to give up everything that he had because he had a lot of stuff. Most niggas ain't got nothing and they don't want to get at up. See, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about that. Shalom, sis. We don't want to talk about that. We'll talk about that rich ruler, how he didn't want to give up his riches. But it's people, man, most folks is poor, and they don't want to give up nothing. They don't want to give up that hate. They don't want to give up that strife. They don't want to give up them lusts. They don't want to give up them lies. They don't want to give up that evil eye. They don't want to give up them idols that's in their heart. They want to keep all of it. Yeah, we don't want to talk. We love to talk about, yeah, rich man ain't gonna give up nothing. You poor and you ain't gave up nothing. So what? Who'd have done it? Because you ain't even got nothing. And you trying to keep what you got. Uh-oh, that's a problem. Ain't that a problem? That's a problem. That's a problem. Come on, man. Let me work this Roman 7 in with y'all, man. That's why I've been told you. That's why I'm telling y'all this now, like I told you back in the day, man. You weren't talking about this, them celebrities and sold they soul. But I'm like, you selling your soul to the devil every day. So what make you any better? Because he that commits sin is of the devil. So what's the difference between you and them? What's the difference? You feel like it's better because you didn't open your booty hole up for a record executive? Because you ain't let Harvey Weinstein fill you up? But you burning in your lust every day and fulfilling them, and you think you better. Man, I ain't on that junk, man. I don't care what these people got going on. I care about what the people who say they serve God got going on. I already expect that from a sinner. Niggas shocked when they see Sexy Red and what she got going on. She a sinner. What you expect her to do? But if you say you a woman of God, now I would be offended if you had that type of behavior. You know what I'm talking about? Now that's gonna be different. Because hold on, baby, you profess to believe. What you got going on? I expect 50 Cent to be a sinner. I don't expect a man who say he a man of God to behave like one. I don't expect that from him. And I've been telling y'all this a lot lately, man. We focus on people outside the house so much that we just giving a whole lot of blind eyes and passes to people who inside the house. And that ain't how it's supposed to be. It ain't my job to judge nobody outside the house. Who are going to do that? But it's my job to make sure my brother straight who inside the house. I got to make sure he good. What you got going on, bro? And that's what your law say. Rebuke your neighbor. Don't suffer no sin upon him. Ain't that what your law say? Yeah, that's what it say. We don't like to talk about it, though. We're going to go straight to Romans 7:24 because we're going to deal with this point and we're going to hit the law with it. And I got it's about 17 and a half thing, man. And that's no exaggeration, man. That's been running through my mind all week. And I know you who are willing, we're not going to get them all. I already know that. But at least today, I mean. But we're going to try to get most of them. You know what I'm saying? He said, oh, wretched. Well, let me back up to 22. Matter of fact, let me just back up to 21. He said, I find in the law that when I do good, evil is present with me. For I delight in the law of Elohim after the inward man. But I see another law in my members warring against the law of my mind, bringing me into the captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. What is the law of sin in your members? Death. You're going to die. You know what I'm saying? Joanne, sit down, please, and be quiet. Thank you. O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? I thank Elohim through Yahushua HaMashiach our Lord. So then with the mind I myself may serve the law of Elohim, but the flesh, the law of sin. See, a lot of people take this and say, see, in the flesh, you're going to sin. That's not what that man's saying. What is the law of sin is what you must establish. That means to know what the law of sin is, you need to know it in the law to be able to understand what he's saying. This is why that I wasn't amazed. I just was really just appalled that when I'm talking to these people, and I've told y'all this for years, that these epistle letters are not scriptures. They're not. They're not. Genesis to John are scriptures. Acts is the Acts of the apostles. The letters of Paul, Peter, James, and John are just that. They are letters to men or to assemblies as things pertaining to the word of the things that are occurring in those said assemblies or things that need to be espoused to that particular person. So you have to validate those epistle letters with scriptures. Book of Revelation is a book of prophecy. Majority of book of Revelations has already been told to you from Genesis to Malachi. When you look at the apostles were not teaching people based off of their letters. And any person with any small amount of reading comprehension should be able to ascertain that when they're reading these men's letters. They weren't teaching people out of them letters. That does not mean that the letters are worthless. They don't mean anything wrong with the letters. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that you ought to know that those are not scriptures when they literally say at the top of them, because we in Romans, it literally says the epistle of Paul the apostle to the Romans. So this literally says a letter. It's literally what it says. I don't know how we argue that. So why am I telling you this here, man? Gentlemen, I'm telling you this because I tell you this for years. You must validate what is in those letters out of the law and the prophets. They will meet together and kiss in perfect unity. Let that be known because it's the same word. It's the same word. See, what ends up coming is this lazy studying, if you would, by a lot of men because they don't want to validate what this man is saying. Because that means that they would have, see, I don't know what it is with some people because they think you immersing yourself in the Old Testament, that means something different. It's retarded. It's all the word of Yahuwah. You ought to understand all of it. You need to understand what is the law of sin? What is it? So before we look at the law of sin, let's talk about this word wretched in the Greek. And then we'll go look at what the law of sin is. If any of you brothers want to share what you believe the law of sin is, please go ahead, sisters as well. If anybody wants to share what they believe the law of sin is, Please, by all means. When you look at this word wretched, the Greek word is taliporos, enduring toils and troubles, afflicted, wretched, miserable, and enduring trial. This is what it means to be wretched. What do you, brothers and sisters, believe that the law of sin is? Where do you believe that you can find it? Because if somebody asks you what the law of sin is, you should be able to show them out of the word what that means if you're having that conversation with somebody. Remember what I tell you, brothers, man. I tell you to understand the word as if you had to explain what you believe to somebody else, not for the purpose of let me crush you with my doctrine, because if you got that frame of mind, you got the mind of a goofy. You should never be trying to learn the word as it means to crush somebody else's doctrine. Your spirit ain't right. Remember what he told the apostles. He said, should we call from fire like Elijah? He said, no, man. You don't know what manner of spirit you is. We didn't come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. We ain't walking around here for no doctrine destroyers, man. If you got a mindset of doctrine destroyers, that means you in the circle with the wrong type of people. That means you ain't in the circle of people who need the knowledge of God to sustain themselves to everlasting life. You need to remove yourself from them circle of people. You dig? You say Genesis 2 and 17 said? Anybody else before we proceed? And we're going to read Genesis 2 and 17 that said, man. You got to realize that, man. You should be learning the word to explain. Remember what it said in Isaiah, which Peter quoted, that you should be able to explain your hope with meekness and fear. You should be learning the word to explain to people why you have this level of hope and expectation. Remember what we talked about last week in 1 Thessalonians 4 and 16? We ain't in others who around here without no hope. We got a level of comfort and consolation that comes through the scriptures of Yahushua HaMashiach, that he the resurrection and the life. And if we live and believe in him, we'll never taste death. We ain't supposed to be around here worrying about cracking nobody's doctrine. I don't care about your doctrine, nigga. Who is you? What am I doing that for? Because the reason why I say that is because you arguing with people who just want to argue. See, we'll turn around and say it's for the edification of the people in the audience, but the people in the audience on Clubhouse or on most of these social media apps, they ain't coming looking for no word of salvation. They coming to look for the drama. That's what they looking for. We ain't looking for that. So let's take a look at what bro just said here, man. Genesis 2 and 17, which is an acceptable answer. We're just going to take it to the further answer, but it's an acceptable answer. But the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat of it, for the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. So when we swing over here to Genesis 3 and 17, which is where we was coming to anyway. Don Joanne. You actually caught that. That's amazing. Genesis 3 and 17. Leave my baby alone. Leave my baby alone. And unto Adam he said, because you have hearkened unto the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree which I have commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Curse the ground for your sake. In sorrow shall you eat it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to you. You shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face shall you eat bread, till you return unto the ground. For out of it you was taken, for dust you, and unto dust you shall return. See, that is the curse of my law. The law, dear brothers and sisters. That's what that is. The curse of the law is death. And, you know, I've had conversations with brothers and they didn't know that. I'm like, how you study the word, how you say you study the word, and you don't know the curse of the law is death. You think the curse of the law is Deuteronomy 28? See, that's what most brothers see. See, he cursed us in Deuteronomy 28. If you think the curse of the law is Deuteronomy 28, every time that's mentioned, you woefully inept. The curse of the law is death. That's why you don't need to argue with people when they say salvation is only for Israel, when in Adam all died. Everybody died. Boy, what's wrong with you? Before there was an Israel, people were dying. So that means man, period, needed redemption from death. What's wrong with these people? That's why I keep telling y'all, I don't see how y'all listen to some of these people, man. You know what I'm talking about? Because I couldn't do it. These dudes, stupid. You know what I'm talking about? These dudes. Matter of fact, Brandon, while it's on my mind, I seen what you said to your mans about that situation with Puffy and TD Jakes. You know this nigga had a nerve to say, well, pictures of TD Jakes at a Puffy party and they're several? We ain't even talking about this man playing with booty hole. It's several pictures of this nigga partying with this nigga. What I look like partying with a sinner? I ain't talking about breaking no word down to no sin. I'm talking about a sinner invite me to a party and I go. Where I know sinful activity is going down. I ain't talking about your people invite you to a family function and you go over there. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about where drinking and debauchery going down. What a preacher look like going over there? You think the Lord would have went somewhere where debauchery and drunkenness is going down? You smoking crack if you do. What he going around there for? Because he going to have to rebuke everybody around there. Matter of fact, he going to be disgusted at the mere presence of it, and he going to have to slide. Because he don't want to be around that. Don't nobody want to be around that, man. But let's take a look at something else. Let's continue, man. Let's take a look at that because we talked about wretched, right? Now I want you to look at what he cursed Adam with. Now listen to what he cursed Adam with. He said that the ground will be cursed and in sorrow shall he eat of it. Now I'm talking about wild, bro. I'm talking about, bro, that's wild. You know what I'm talking about? Not T Diddy. That boy, that's stupid. That boy, I call that nigga T Diddy. That's how he would dress when he was around now. Now let's look at sorrow, man. This word sorrow is itzabon, and it is ayin, sad, bat, u, and noon. And it literally means pain, labor, hardship, sorrow, toil. Let me tell you something, gentlemen. You ain't got to like it. That's what Yahuwah cursed you with. You're going to have to go through pain, toil, hardship, and sorrow and labor till you die. So when I be seeing some brood, man, why we got to work so hard, man, we supposed to be in life chilling. Nigga, who told you that? That's not what God said. The curse said you were going to work by the sweat of your brow till you die. That you would go through sorrow and pain till you die. Remember what did man say? Let me read you John 16. Let me look at what the Lord said. The Lord told you exactly what the law said if you could pick up what he putting down. Come over here to John 16. That's why we give esteem to Abba and Shamahim continually. You know what I'm talking about? Because we know what time it is. John 16:31. We know what time it is, man. See, that's why we had a word that give us that hope and comfort in the midst of that pain and sorrow. You know what I'm saying? But we don't want to hit. See, a lot of brothers don't want to talk about that curse. You only want to talk about the curse of dying. That man said you were going to go through pain and hardship all the days of your existence, boy. That's what he cursed you with. Oh, man. See, and then pause, matter of fact. You see the difference with that when he say how it's through faith, not by works? You see how that line up? Because he wanted to keep the law, he got to have that pain and sorrow. Because you got to try to earn it. See, he could have had the righteousness of Elohim without the law. Remember what we were talking about in Romans? He could have went and got a tree of life. Instead, he chose the law. And that's what the law give you pain. Not because there's something wrong with the law, but because if you violate it, you're going to have some sorrow, boy. Believe that. Like I told them brothers the other day, I don't know why as men, any man has a problem with this man law. I don't know why you got a problem with it. And when I say why you wouldn't have a problem with it, is because they talking about legalistic and all this stuff, and you want to talk about I don't know what a ceremonial law is, because Yahuwah never called it that. Let's go ahead and get rid of the majority of the book of Leviticus, because Levitical laws don't pertain to the people for the most part. So what happens with sacrifices in the temple, that don't pertain to us. You know what I'm saying? That don't pertain to us, man. Shalom, bro. But why you got a problem with not running against with a multitude to do evil? Why you got a problem with not lying on a brother, slandering his name? Why you telling people not to do that? A lot of these goofy niggas need to be told not to do that. Why you feel like you don't want to tell a brother, don't sleep with that man's wife? That's that man's wife. Why you lusting after stuff? Why you got idols in your heart? Is that the focal point over Yahuwah? Of course not. Is that going to make me righteous in his eyesight? Of course not. But why wouldn't I want to do it, though? Why wouldn't I want that to encapsulate and make up my character? Didn't Paul tell you in Acts that he makes sure that he have a conscience void of offense against Elohim and man? Like, what are we talking about? Y'all trying to make people keep the law. We ain't trying to make nothing but make people be righteous and be set apart. Period. See, when people hear about the law, all they want to talk about is pork chop, shrimp, and Sabbath days and feast days. We ain't talking about that. That's light stuff. You know why Mo Brews only talk about pork chops and shrimp and Sabbath days and feast days? Because that's the easiest parts of the law to do, because it ain't got nothing to do with their character. It's easy to not to eat a pork chop, eat a ham sandwich. But for a lot of them, it's hard for them not to be a lustful bastard. It's hard for them not to be a liar. It's hard for them to respect their parents. It's hard for them not to execute false judgment. It's hard for them not to tell lies on people. It's hard for them not to hold no grudge. It's hard for them to do that. See, people love to talk about the aspects of the law that ain't got nothing to do with the rotten heart that they carry. You know what I'm talking about? See, when you pay attention to Mo Brew, man, most of us, we ain't talking about, well, your heart filthy, you need to change it. We don't want to talk about that. Because if that means I'd have to look in the mirror and see my heart filthy, and I'd rather not do that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of let me go ahead and take a bath so I can instruct my brother. You know, matter of fact, I put it to you this way, right? So some of y'all probably been seeing them reels going around about the white lady saying when she was in the army that black women had to teach her how to bathe properly. And the white man said washcloths are for poor people. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm from the South, right? I thought people knew that majority of white people didn't use a washcloth. I was amazed how many people didn't know that, because I know that most of them that I knew don't do it. But that's not the point. The point was that lady say somebody had to teach her how to bathe. Well, guess what? If you say you're going to be a preacher of the word, you need to learn how to wash your behind so you can teach them and show them how to wash their behind. See, if you don't know how to wash your butthole properly and you got dingleberries and dookie stains all in your drawers, you're not going to be able to help this person out. Because your drawers filthy and you musty. Out here smelling like sweat, air, and onions. You know what I'm talking about? You ain't giving off no sweet smelling savor. You stink. But see, we don't want to do that. You don't want to go take a bath. You don't want to learn how to bathe properly. Learn how to bathe properly before you try to tell somebody else how to bathe. That's all the Lord was telling you in Matthew 7 when he told you not to judge. Get yourself together first. Get yourself clean so that you can actually effectively help your brother so he can get clean. That's what it's about. That's what he means when he say don't bear no grudge and rebuke your neighbor to not suffer sin upon him so everybody can be clean. That's if you love the man, you did. See, if you love your brother, you want your brother to be at his best. And if you see he's not at his best, you're not jumping up and down. Yeah, that nigga sinning. No, hey, bro, come on, man, because you're not performing at optimum level. You better than that. But most of us don't know nothing about that because most of us either didn't have real friends or you was the person who wasn't a real friend. When I say you didn't have real friends, you didn't have friends that were invested in your success. They wanted to see you succeed. You succeeding didn't make them feel any type of way about themselves because they was happy to see you at your best because they were seeking to be their best so they could push you and encourage you to be your best. That boy say touchdown, Jace. That boy, that wild. You know what I'm saying? That's all. When you want to be your best, you want your brother to be his best. That's all. That's how you're supposed to be as a man. That's if you really a man. Your brother being his best don't take nothing away from you. It only takes something away from you when you're insecure. When you ain't confident in who you are. And that's a personal problem. I only say that for you brothers. If you got people around that like that around you, to not get upset with them or to even be upset at the situation, because that ain't got nothing to do with you. That's got something to do with them. And they got to fix that within themselves. You can't do nothing about that. Don't ever get yourself frustrated or upset about what somebody else got going on in the inside that got nothing to do with you. All you can do is pray for them and try to show them some love. That's all you can do. Because they got to work that out on their own. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to realize that, man, they got to work that out on their own, baby. That's on them. But you should never let how somebody else behave affect how you behave. Because then at that point, now this person got power over you. And the only person who should have power over you is your God. Only Yahuwah should have power over you to dictate your behavior. You know what I'm talking about? Once you allow what other people do to dictate your behavior, they done became your God. Because that's not who you serving. And you shouldn't let that happen. And not only that, but you also will be a slave to your emotions. And there's no reason for that. Shalom, Jay. Ain't no reason for that. We have to get to a certain level of spiritual maturity and also mental and emotional maturity. Spiritual maturity is of the utmost importance. You know what I'm talking about? And that spiritual maturity is not going to come overnight. But like I've told y'all before, man, once you cross that threshold of being in the Word for 5 years, you should begin to develop a certain level of spiritual maturity. I don't expect somebody who's been in the Word a year or two to be spiritually mature. Some people will, but that's not a reasonable expectation. You know what I'm saying? That's not a reasonable expectation. This Brother Van Austin put on that 1 Corinthians 2:9. That's right. Yeah, hey, I ain't seen nor ear heard nor the heart of man perceive what Elohim has prepared for those that love him. Indeed. But there got to be a level of maturity, man. And I've told y'all this several times, man. Don't let the people convince you that you can't mature in the Word, man. And that you got to stay a certain way. Those people are stagnated and they got their nuts crossed on you. That's why they got testicular cancer, man. Don't listen to it. Don't listen to it. What was that, man? John 16:31. Listen what the Lord said. But Yahushua answered them, do you now believe? Behold, the hour come, yea, now come, that you shall be scattered, every man to his own, and shall leave me alone. And yet I am not alone, because Abba is with me. These things have I spoken unto you, that in me you might have shalom. In the world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. See, he telling you what the law told you. In the world, you're going to have some tribulation, man. You're going to have some pain. You're going to have some hardships. But you got to be a good cheer. This man done overcame the world. And this is why it is of the utmost importance that you encapsulate the word in the inward part. Or like James say, let the engrafted word enter into your soul. You got to become one with the word, man, to give you the strength to be able to overcome these things that you encounter in life, man, because life can be difficult. And any man who tell you that he has not faced any difficulties in life is lying to you. Now, again, when you look at this Greek word for tribulation, man, it's a metaphor for oppression, affliction, tribulation, distress, stress. That junk went away, man. Hold on. Straits, burden, anguish, trouble, which is the same thing you just heard in Genesis chapter 3. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 3. Did what he say man got to go through. That man was cursed to go through pain, trouble, toil, labor, sorrow. Remember, he cursed the ground. Where did Adam come from? The ground. So the ground is cursed. Hey, that boy, he said that update on Clubhouse was the best thing happened to me. Ain't been back on since. Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. We were playing. I was playing Thank You for Emma Steph on here, man. Old sucker nigga, man. Wanted to cut the record off, man. Nigga be hating on the Lord, man. Talking about nobody want to hear this here, man. She really enjoyed that record, man. She said that song brought her to tears, man. But that nigga had his nut crossed. Hating out here, man. That junk ain't even cool for a grown man to act like that. I promise it ain't. But like I said, man, you talking about worrisomeness, labor, pain, sorrow, toil. This is what you got cursed with. In verse 18, this man say thorns and thistles is it going to bring to you. So he say the ground is going to bring you thorns, which is kosei, which is a thorn bush, a pricking, and thistles is pretty much the same. Now remember what he said, "O wretched man, who will deliver me from the body of this death?" Who going to deliver me from this wretchedness that I am going through? Now I want to take something because this came to my mind earlier. These dudes were talking about this the other day. And hold on, y'all. And I had to ask Boo had we went over that before because I couldn't remember. But she did say we dealt with how Adam was representative of the word being made flesh. Who on here don't remember how Adam is representative of being the word made flesh? Who don't remember that? And I know it's some of y'all on here who didn't hear that. He said they play with me on Clubhouse, capping and whack 100 and the Beehive. Yeah, I don't be in white room. I don't follow. I mean, I'm friends with Cap on Facebook, been for about well over a decade, but not on Clubhouse. So listen, who don't remember or who hasn't heard? Okay, you say you don't remember, you hadn't heard. Who doesn't remember or hasn't heard how Adam is the word made flesh? we'll deal with that real quick, like just to stack on to what else we got to deal with this evening when it comes to that. Going once, I only got one person. One is enough, but I'm trying to make sure. Praise Yahuwah, bro. I'm glad to hear that, bro. Praise Yahuwah. I'm glad to hear that. You say 1 Corinthians 15-45? Shalom, brother Shaul. Hey, that's real talk, Brandon, man. Praise Yahuwah. I'm glad to hear that, man. That's good, man. Praise God. Come over here to John chapter 1, man. Come over here to John 1 real quick, bro. I'm going to pick this up, man. Verse 14. John 1:14. And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his esteem. The esteem is of the only begotten of the Abba, full of grace and truth. John bare witness of him and cried, saying, this was he of whom I spake. He that come after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. In his fullness have we all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given by Moses, grace and truth came by Yahushua HaMashiach. No man have seen Elohim at any time. The only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Abba, he have declared. And that also, praise God, that also came in my mind for us to talk about that too. Yeah, to talk about that too. So, we're going to make a short trip real quick, like the Genesis 1:26, to look at how he was the word made flesh. And then I'm going to ask y'all a question as it pertains to something that was in John chapter 1. So when we read Genesis 1:26, well, really 1:27 is what we want. So Elohim created man in his image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. Psalm 24:6. Yeah, he gonna eat and sleep for a long time, baby. For at least the first 90 days of his life. That's how you grow. That's where the growth hormone come in at. If you remember, the word created is bara, bat, rosh, and aleph. It is to create, it's to shape, it is to form. So when you're looking at bat, rosh, and aleph, you can see how the son is the firstborn is the strength, if you would. Then he say, in the image of Elohim created he him. You know, image is Salem. You got bara. Male is Sakar, which of course is, I'm trying to remember what it is, man. I might have been in the wrong spot. It might have been Genesis 26. It was. That's my bad, y'all. And he said, Elohim said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea. Of course, when you look at make, that is asa, that is to fashion, that is to accomplish, that is to make, that is to produce, that is to act, to produce, to prepare. So when you see that there, you got, and Elohim said. What is said, that is a mar, that is to speak, that is to utter. So when he spoke, it produced Adam. So what does this mean? What did this mean? When he spoke, he produced Adam, which means Adam was a word made flesh, because he created Adam by a word. See, this is what I meant also was in the back of my mind talking to them dudes when we looking at create, because we understand that he made Adam by a word. You know what I'm saying? So we understand that he made Yahushua by a word. That's why he say he's the word of Elohim. I got you, Brother Ellis. So when you look at Adam, Adam is the word made flesh. Adam was literally created by a word. Literally created by a word. And the word was made flesh. When he made him from the dust of the ground, he created him. You think Yahuwah just went and stuck his hands in the dirt and formed a man out of dirt? He spoke a word. So when you see in the beginning, see, now you turn around, you come to John 1:1. Because, of course, if he gave Adam dominion, then Adam would be as Elohim in this instance. As forth as following the framework of Yahushua HaMashiach. You did? Indeed. In the beginning was the word, and the word was with Elohim, and the word was Elohim. And you just seen that in Genesis 1:26, because he said, he uttered, he spake a word. That word was with Elohim, that word was Elohim. The same was in the beginning with Elohim. Now, see, this is going to be the difference. Adam wasn't in the beginning with Elohim as the son was, but he was in the beginning of creation with Elohim as forth as man is concerned. So remember, it's a similitude. See, a lot of people get caught up on the similitude and they want it to be specific, detail for detail. It's a similitude. When he say the law giving a shadow of greater things to come, it's giving you a similitude of the work that the son of Elohim was going to complete, so that you would know that he was the one who the Father testified of, that you may believe unto everlasting life. You're supposed to be looking for the pattern. That's why I say, if you don't believe my words, believe me for the work's sake. Because if you knew the word, remember what it said in Acts 13, he said they fulfilled the scriptures in condemning him. They read him every Shabbat and didn't know that he was the one that the book was talking about. They missed it. Now, see, we didn't see any of these things this man did. But by the grace of Elohim, we know the word, and then we see what he did, and we see, okay, he fulfilled the word. See, a lot of dudes be like, that's not Jesus there. That's not Yahushua there. You superimpose him on the text. Man, you got to let people have that. Remember, he said if they blind leads of the blind, they both going to fall in the ditch. Man, you got to know when to take your ball and go home, man. You can't make people believe, man. If he ain't open their heart to receive it, that ain't got nothing to do with you. See, we feel like we got to prove everything to everybody. You only feel like you got to prove everything to everybody when you don't believe it. So you're trying to prove it to yourself. When you fully persuaded and you've embraced the promises of Elohim, you ain't got to prove nothing to nobody. So you have to make sure you look in the mirror and assess your faith. Are you explaining this stuff to people because you want them to be saved, or because you're trying to convince yourself? Now, remember, we talking about Paul. Paul say, who's going to deliver me from the body of this death? Who's going to deliver me from this wretched state that I'm in? Who's going to deliver me from the sorrow of the ground, which he is cursed, and these thorns and thistles, which are there to keep me in constant affliction? So you see that the word was made flesh. This is Adam. What did Adam do? Adam went to the tree of life. He had the tree of knowledge and good and evil. Which tree did he choose? He chose the tree of knowledge and good and evil. Not because he chose it, but because his wife chose it. And because his wife chose it, he fulfilled the righteousness of Elohim by doing what he saw his father do, which was love and sacrificed his life, which, of course, y'all already know that that's a similitude of Yahushua sacrificing his life. Because remember, the text say the woman was in the transgression. This is not, again, for those who have never heard this before, this is not the focus on the woman. The woman is representative of Israel, of Yasharal, of Yisrael, however you want to pronounce it. That's who Eve is representative of this story. Get that male and female gender war stuff out your mind. This ain't got nothing to do with that. Because if you're mad with Eve, you're really mad with yourself. You know what I'm talking about? You're really mad with yourself. Because you know in Israel, you ate from the tree of knowledge and good and evil and died. And you needed a redeemer. You see, we don't pay attention to that. Remember, Adam is fulfilling what Paul said about Mashiach. He became sin who knew no sin. And he died to cover his wife. He tried to find a means to bring his banished back to him. All the things that the Lord came and did. The word was made flesh and dwelt among us. The word was made flesh and dwelt among his wife. And he died for his wife. Now, in doing so, now he has the knowledge of good and evil, so he has the law. Remember, that goes back to what we were talking about with Seth and Enos when men began to call on the name of Yahuwah. You can't call on Yahuwah unless you've heard, and how can you hear without a preacher? And Adam was the preacher to teach Seth, which goes back to Deuteronomy when he's saying, teach your sons this law. It's all the same word, bearing witness to the same. Why wouldn't Adam walk out what he said in the law to do? And he got the law. How couldn't he? You know, we had a dude ask this question, why would he give a law to not eat the law? Because he can. Why would he give a law not to eat the law? Because Adam was not a sinner. He was a righteous man. He was justified by faith if he would have ate from the tree of life, the very things that Christians say they espouse. See, this is funny to me, man, while it's on my mind, is that when you talk to these Christians and they say they believe in faith so much and Christ, and we believe in Christ, and then you actually manifest the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach and the faith thereof, they don't believe it. They don't believe it. I say, this is amazing. They say that this is what they own, and when you actually give it to them from the word, they think of you talking about keeping the law. Leave my baby alone. No, ain't no daddy. Leave my baby alone. Think about that for a second. Because I've noticed this the few times that I've engaged with a Christian, man. That they say they believe in a Mashiach, they believe in Christ, they believe in Jesus, they believe in Yahushua. This is what they believe in. And then when you serve them that, Okay, I got you, Chef. When you serve them that, they reject it and say, no, brother, this don't make sense. But I thought this is what you believe, brother. I thought you was on the faith wagon. Yeah, I thought that's what you was on. But now you who have exposed your heart, that's not what you own. You know what I'm talking about? But let's continue. So when you look at the word being made flesh, because he created Adam by a word, this is Adam being representative of Yahusha later, as the brother just mentioned. He's the last. Yahusha is the last Adam. So if Yahusha is the last Adam, then the first Adam, he has to follow that framework of the first Adam. So when you look at Genesis 1 and 26, because remember, let's look at this Hebrews 1 and 1, because it said that Adam was made in the image of Elohim, correct? That's what it said. Now let's look at Hebrews 1 and 1 real quick. Hebrews 1 and 1. I seen some people got all their panties all in a bunch, because there's a clip of Sakari talking about they views on the Epistle of Hebrews. I don't know why other men's opinions and perspectives get dudes so offended. I think all they were saying is because they don't know who wrote the Epistle to the Hebrews or some old stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like people listen to stuff and don't really listen to somebody's point of view. It's the same way that video was going around with Kevin Gates asking Finesse 2 times to put his feet in the air. And the first thing people went to was homosexual. And I'm like, how did you listen to this conversation and you thought this was some sodomy? You know what I'm saying? Because right after he said that, that man say, if that's what you need me to do. And that man say, yeah, hold me accountable. Or is it the fact that y'all not accustomed to hearing two grown? Because at the beginning of the video, I heard this man say, boy, I love you. Boy, I miss you. I can't wait to see you. Or are you unaccustomed to another grown man telling his brother he loved him? And that he ain't seen him in a while and he miss him and he looking forward to seeing him. And that when he's saying, hey, man, if I ain't on point, lift me up and hold me accountable. And the first thing I seen grown men talking about them niggas gay. Because you heard feet in the air. That's because that's what you got on your mind, son. Because that's different, right? You know a homosexual conversation when you hear one. And that wasn't no homosexual conversation. You know what I'm talking about? But you heard feet in the air and you went sodomy road. That let me know you got wee and booty hole on your brain. Because I ain't get none of that from that conversation. You know what I got from that conversation? Two men who love each other, who genuinely care about each other. And that's how I was raised. You know what I'm talking about? Because guess what? Your brother should be able to get your feet off the ground. He should be able to uplift you, man, pick you up when you're down. Ain't that what the Lord told you to do? Didn't he say to carry one another's burdens? Ain't that what this is what your book, this was Bruce who was sharing this here. Ain't this what the word say you supposed to do? Don't your word say you supposed to hold your brother accountable? Don't the word say that Paul was happy to see some of these men? And didn't he say greet each other with a Kadash kiss? Then that man turn around and say, man, I love you, bro. That's what I be meaning about, man. These dudes ain't got no love in them, man. They damn sure don't love you and they damn sure don't love none of us. They can't. And you know why that's the case? Because many of our brothers are unaccustomed to seeing men who genuinely love each other. That when you think about men loving each other, your mind automatically go to some homo stuff. Because you ain't accustomed to that. I had a man tell me years ago, he said, man, dudes would have called you gay if you would have told your homeboy you loved him. I said, there's something wrong with y'all. You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with it? What? I've seen some of the most hardcore killers tell their brother they love him. I'm talking about certified killers. I ain't talking about playing killer on the record. I'm talking about real deal killers. And they be like, hey, boy, I love you, boy. Like, straight them down. Now, whether they meant that or not, that's a whole nother conversation. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, let me get to what we got because we're running out of time. Hebrews 1 and 1. Elohim, who at sundry times in a diverse manner spake unto the fathers by the prophets, have in these last days spoken to us by Son, whom he have appointed heir of all things, by whom he also made the worlds, who being the brightness of his esteem and the express image of his person. Yeah, now see, that's different stuff. I'm just talking about that conversation because we know Kevin Gates is a degenerate. I mean, you know, he's spitting in a woman's mouth. That's between him and that woman. They got something else going on. I'm just talking about that one conversation. Kevin Gates is a sinner, so that's his business. But I'm more so talking about the interaction between two men who clearly had a genuine care for one another's well-being and mental and emotional state and success. and sinners are not. That shouldn't just be discarded. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's a crying out shame that sinners can have more love with each other than people who say they serve God. You know what I'm talking about? Because I know for a fact, and a lot of these assemblies across this world, or at least across America, that a lot of these brothers gather with dudes that they don't actually love and care about for real. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know already. Because when I say that, meaning that these people are not invested in your success or your well-being. See, a lot of people take care, especially in this generation, if somebody calling you all the time and texting you all the time. Somebody can call you every day and don't give a damn about you. You know what I'm saying? Somebody can text you every day and don't give a damn about you. Somebody's level of communication is not always indicative of how much they care about you. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know why you think about it like that. Oh, this person don't call me or check on me. They don't care about me. That's a feminine way of thinking, to keep it 100 with you. You know what I'm saying? The man should know that people who care about you is when you call on them and they come through in the clutch. Because it wouldn't matter if I hadn't talked to you in 30 days, 45 days, or 6 months. If you call on me and say, boy, I need you, and I say, when and where? You know what I'm talking about? You hit my phone and say, I got something going on, bro, and nigga take the time out their day to be there for you. That's how you know how somebody care about you. If you think somebody care about you because they call you a lot, you lying to yourself, bro. Nigga call you and be like, man, I hate. Nigga calling you just for the fact of to stay connected to you. They hate talking to you. Which I don't understand that either. Because if I don't like a nigga, I'm not calling you. And when I say I'm not calling you, meaning I ain't even taking your calls. And everybody who on here who got my phone number know if you call me, boy, you'll be shocked if it get past the third ring. You know what I'm talking about? Because I'm going to answer immediately. The only way I ain't going to answer is if the phone quickly is because the phone is in my pocket and I'm lifting weights and I can't get to it. Or I'm doing a trash out and I can't get to it. I ain't never been one to not answer the phone. You know what I'm talking about? And I don't know what you want. I don't care what you want. Clearly, you calling for a reason. If it ain't serious, I'll pretty much know that instantly at the beginning of the conversation. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, man, that's how you know if people care about you, is that when they there for you when you need them. Now, if you need people and you not saying nothing, then that's you. That's a you problem. Because you can't expect nobody to have no telekinesis to read your mind and know that you in distress. You got to be man enough to say, boy, I need you, boy. I'm going through some things. Ain't that what Boosie told her? That was Boo's favorite song when she was young. She played it all the time. She said she was going through some things, man, and don't nobody understand me, man. She been going through some things. Hebrews 1 and what? Yeah, 3. Who being in the brightness of esteem, the express image of his person, upholding all things by the word of his power, when he by himself purged our sins and sat down in the right hand of the majesty on high. Notice that he said that he was what? In his express image, the same way that Adam was in his image. This is how you can see that, how Adam was the word made flesh. But let's take it a step further back in John 1, because I ain't gonna get everything I wanted there, but I told y'all that. I'm gonna be able to go over a little bit. For those of y'all who not accustomed to being on here, on Wednesday we start by 7:30. We kind of finish up at 9. Now y'all willing when the Shabbat roll around, that's unlimited. You know what I'm talking about? Like your phone minutes. But on Wednesday, because back in the days on Wednesday, boy, I used to just ride out. You know what I'm saying? But I also started at 7 o'clock. I don't start at 7 o'clock anymore. But I try not to be on here as long on Wednesdays, considering that most of y'all got to get up and go to work. You know what I'm talking about? On Shabbat, I know you ain't got nowhere to go. So we try to keep it at an hour and a half. Every now and then, we go a little longer. If I can get to John 1, I can get to the point that we're trying to look at. If I can get there, there we go. So now, it say the law was given by Moses. Now, this is where how Adam comes in, and Adam is representative of Moses. How is Adam representative of Moses? Because once he had the knowledge of good and evil, guess what he brought to Seth? He taught him the law. You know what I'm talking about? See why this is important? Come over here, right? Come over here to Isaiah 33. Isaiah 33 and 22, by the way. Dang, that page ain't in this book. Isaiah 33 and 22. Yahuwah, our judge. Yahuwah, our lawgiver. Yahuwah, our king. He will save us. Now, why is this mentioned? Because remember, Adam was created in the likeness of Elohim and was able to operate in that function. Now, when it comes to him being the one to save us, that's a different conversation. But Adam was a lawgiver because Adam had the law. Who did he give it to? Let's go over here, just for those who didn't hear. Let's go over here to Genesis chapter 4. We go to Genesis 4 and 25. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son and called his name Seth. For Elohim have appointed me another seed instead of Abel, who Cain slew. And Seth to him also born a son, and he called his name Enos. And then began men to call on the name of Yahuwah. And how can men call on the name of Yahuwah? Romans 10 and 14 or 13. Whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Now we looking at Seth, right? It said he was calling on the name of Yahuwah, correct? How then shall they call on him whom they have not believed? So how can Seth, after having Enos, and Enos call on the name of Yahuwah, how can they believe? And Seth is Adam's son. So how are they able to believe to call on the name of Yahuwah? That's right. You say, boy, they didn't. He just said, and they didn't know that they were in the book fulfilling script, but as adversaries. That's I'm trying to tell you. It's a lot of people fulfilling the book as being adversaries of Yahuwah and don't even know it. I'll read that Acts 13 for y'all before we get out of here. Listen to verse 14. He said, how then shall, Romans 10 and 14, how shall they call on him whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe on him whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? So how is Seth and Enos able to call on Yahuwah if they have not heard? They can't call on him whom they have not believed, and they can't believe except they hear. And they need a preacher to hear, and that's where Adam come in at, because Adam came with the law, just like Moses came with it. You know what I'm talking about? That's what the first Adam came with. Remember, the law and the prophets was until who? Till John. Now the kingdom of heaven is preached, and all men are pressed into it. But you think Adam will preach it. And how do we know that Adam had that ability? Let me tell y'all, man. Adam was a prophet, an apostle, a shepherd, and a preacher. He was all of that. Just like the Lord was. I'm telling y'all this for y'all to examine Adam, the first Adam and the second Adam, more closely, that you can see in such a limited story, the testimony of Mashiach is there. Because remember, it said, curse to the ground for your sake, that you'll have sorrow and trouble. And the Lord said he was exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death, because he was a man. Because he was a man, and he was in that toil and sorrow in a garden, just like Adam was. But y'all willing, we're going to get on all that Shabbat, because we're talking about, oh, wretched man, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? Who's going to deliver me from this toil and trouble? And that's where that, when we're looking at that law of Mashiach or the law of faith, that's where that come in to set you free. That's where it come in, what we read in Genesis 47, Leviticus 25, is forfeits the sorrow and trouble of being in debt. Remember, he that commits sin is the servant of sin. You in bondage. Why are you in bondage? Because you sold yourself into bondage, like we read in Isaiah 50. That's what happened in Genesis 47. The people needed bread, and they sold all their stuff and gave it all to Pharaoh. They were in debt to Pharaoh. And then Joseph come through to save everybody. What is Leviticus 25 about with the kinsman redeemer with Jubilee? If your brother be waxed poor and he sold himself into bondage, somebody came to reconcile you, to set you free. That's how that day of atonement come in. You see, that's him making the end of sins to finish the transgression, to bring in everlasting righteousness. Let Abba and Shamahim in the name of Yahushua be esteemed. See, people don't pay attention to that, because we thinking this is all different stuff and it's not relating, because you wanted to say this exactly, and that's why a lot of people are going to go to hell, because you don't see the work of God. So you cannot approach the word of Yahuwah like some type of scholarship, man. You're supposed to be looking for the works of your maker. How do you say you know this man, but you can't see his work in action? See, if you can't see his work in action in the written text, I know you ain't going to see it in action in real life. Why you think them people condemn the man? Oh, you boo-boo? Okay, well, throw it away then. Verse 15. Indeed, bro. How shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the Basar Shalom and bring glad tidings of good things. See, if you're preaching the word, you're supposed to be bringing glad tidings of good things, publishing Yahushua. That's what salvation translates to in Isaiah 52:7, where he got that from, and declaring unto Zion, declaring to Yasharal that your Elohim reigns, that he got dominion, that he king. That's what we're supposed to be out here doing. Anything you do outside of that, that's just extra. But the number one objective is to publish peace, to publish salvation, and declare to them people that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob got dominion. Anything else, that's extra. That's extra. But that's not what any preacher that he sent them to do. He didn't send no preachers to get you no jobs. He didn't send you no preachers to build you nothing. He never done that. He never done that. He didn't send Moses to get you nothing. He sent Moses to let you know who he was and to let Pharaoh know, I'm finna crack your skull and my people finna slide. When Yahushua came, what dog? He didn't come and get you no money. He told you stop laboring for the meat that perish. He wanted you to be focused on eternity. See, we still focus on temporal things. That's why we can't get to the heavenly thing, because you worry about temporary stuff. Man, don't you know this man say he able to take a beggar from the dunghill and set him amongst princes? Man, that man getting you money and positions of authority and power, that's a light matter. You know why he don't give a lot of you niggas no money, man, and put you in no power? Because he know you're going to be wicked as hell when you get it. Now, one thing I can say, because me and Boo were talking about this the other day, and I told you this before, money don't change nobody. Money just going to make you more of what you already are. Money don't change nobody. When people like money change them, money ain't changed nobody. If he, like Shannon Sharp put it beautifully, if he was a jerk when he was broke, he going to be an a-hole with some money. Money don't change nobody. Like I told you, man, when I was hustling, man, drugs don't change nobody. If that woman went to go to tricking to get some crack, she was already on that. You know how I know that? Because I knew women who used drugs and they never sold their body. Never ran across their mind. You know what I'm talking about? It never entered their mind. I'm finna go trick for some weed, trick for some dope, trick for this. Never ran across their mind. She was already on that. It just took that situation and circumstance to bring that out. Same way I told you that I went to prison. You think somebody go to prison and become a homosexual? That man was a homosexual before he got there. He was a homosexual before he got there. You just don't get in prison and all of a sudden you want booty hole. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. Because look at it, man, you don't go nowhere and do nothing that you didn't do before you got there. Like I told the dude, I said, man, I smoke cigarettes on the street. I ain't coming to prison to smoke cigarettes. I'm like, I wouldn't smoke cigarettes in here if I didn't smoke on the street. Dudes were like, I'm drinking coffee because I ain't got no cocaine. I'm not doing nothing I don't do on the street in here, bro. See, when you're able to adapt to environments, to do things that you don't normally do, you'll compromise yourself in ways you wouldn't even believe because you're already willing to do that. You're already willing to do that. You're already showing the concept of a weak mind. But the one thing that do corrupt is power. If you give somebody some power, then you're going to be able to see who they really, because power will make people turn sour. You know what I'm talking about? That's why the book says he that ruleth amongst men must be just. That's why Yahuwah don't put any and everybody in power. That's why he don't give everybody authority and things of that nature, because he already going to know. You get that man that type of authority and power, and he going to lose his mind. He ain't going to know what to do with it. Most people get power and they're going to use power to be self-serving to their own lusts and desires, aims, and means. And most people will use power to completely afflict and oppress anyone in their path. It is very few men in the history of mankind that can take power and use it to the benefit of all and not for the benefit of themselves. And it is very few men in the history of mankind that will take power and not wield it to destroy the people, but to uplift them. That's why most people are leery of most congregations, whether Christian or Hebrew, because most men who preach the word, they know they got power and they use that power to oppress the people. That's why he told you don't rule over the Lord's heritage, which goes back to your law, that don't rule over one another with rigor. Because he said you won't be lords over these people, because he said my servants. And that's what you need to remember if you call yourself wanting to be over Yahuwah's people. Them not your servants, them Yahuwah's servants. You ain't supposed to rule over each other like that. So when you see this here, right, that Adam is representative of coming with the law, and this is why man is in pain and toilsome and in trouble. Remember, he said, be of good cheer, I've overcome the world. Who's going to deliver me from the body of this death? Who's going to deliver me from this sorrow? Who's going to deliver me from this trouble? Well, that's Yahushua HaMashiach, and he's going to do that through the work of faith. So Yahuwah willing on the Shabbat, we're going to go into that a little bit more in-depthly because I'm out of time. I ain't got enough time to hit everything that we need to hit. I got several things in my mind. I got something in my mind with Barabbas. I got something in my mind with Samson's parents. I'm saying this here out loud, so if any of y'all hear that and you write it down, and I'm scrambling in my mind to remember what I wanted to go over, that you can remind me of it, because most of y'all been here know my mind bad, I forget things. You know what I'm talking about? So, Yahuwah willing, he'll bring certain stuff to mind. Okay, Lee asked this question, man. We'll deal with this here right before we slide. Lee asked, with Lot's daughters getting him drunk and having sex with him, was that a sin or would it be forgiven? So you have to look at this in a holistic fashion. Number one, it wouldn't be sin on Lot's part because Lot didn't know what happened. Because this is incest. He didn't know what happened. Secondly, on his daughter's part, they believed that the whole world was dead. This is what they believed. This will say this in the text. They thought everybody on the face of the earth was dead and that it would be necessary to repopulate the earth with their father. So this is what we're going to do, Lee. This is what we're going to do. Yahuwah willing, if I don't mention it out loud, to remind me, because we can use that, and we'll look at the testimony of Mashiach through that. We'll look at it in the natural side of things. You know what I'm talking about? And then show you the testimony of the Lord through that. We still need to hit what Lisa asked about John chapter 5, but that ain't going to take that long. But we also need to go back to remember this: Job 28, Leviticus 25, and Genesis 47. We kind of finished Genesis 47, but it's kind of the hitting certain points that we're going to have to hit when we get back into Leviticus 25. You know what I'm saying? But I mentioned it like Samson's parents seeing that angel and that thing with Barabbas. Yeah, I want to touch on that also. You know what I'm talking about? That's been in my mind this week, along with "O wretched man, who gonna deliver me from the body of death," which is also going to be pertaining to the freedom. Because at the end of the day, we're looking for freedom, not freedom from Mr. Charlie, not freedom from America, but freedom from sin and freedom from death and freedom from the flesh. This is the reason why Romans 8:1 say there is no condemnation to those who walk in the Ruach, who don't feel. Let me just read it because I'm right here. It's right in front of me. He said, therefore now no condemnation to which them that are in Mashiach Yahushua, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Ruach. Ain't no condemnation to them right there. And see, what we'll look at is we can look at the contrast of that in the garden. Because that contrast is in the garden. But I bless you out the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. And hallelujah for Yahushua and Baruch be Abba Shamahim in the name of Yahushua. I bless you out the house of Yahuwah in the name of Yahushua. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. You know, Yahuwah willing. We'll swing back around here and do what we got to deal with. But also, again, if it's any of y'all on here that, and I'm mentioning this for a reason, man. I'm mentioning this for a reason. So be clear. Okay, I got you. No. Hold on, Lee. Y'all hold tight for 1 second, man, before I'm going to say what I'm going to say, man. Hold on. I didn't want to read that part to Lee real quick. So it's right here, 19 and 30. Lee, Lot went out of Zoar, dwelt in the mountain. His 2 daughters with him, for he filled the dwellings are. So he dwelt in the cave, he and his 2 daughters. His firstborn daughter said unto the younger, our father, old, and not a man on the earth to come into us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. You know what I'm talking about? So they, like I said, they believed that men were dead, and then that was the way to put the point what you just mentioned about him not having a son to preserve his seed. But listen, y'all, if it's any of you that are not that are on Facebook, right, and you not friends with me, let me know this. And I'm only saying this for one reason, because we have a congregation group chat. We got two of them. One is strictly congregation information. So if you want to be, I'm mentioning that so you can, so that I can add you to that chat, because what I mentioned about what Kalisha just asked about in John 5, because I told them if it's questions or things that you want to go over, that you can place them in that chat so that I can see them, have them, and we could do that. Because anybody who's been around here, they can tell you that if you have questions about anything, period, that you can ask them while I'm preaching, to be honest with you. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't got no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? You could type them in the chat, whether on YouTube or Facebook. It don't make no difference. You can ask your questions. This is not a place where questions are frowned upon or cannot be asked. You can ask whatever you want to ask. If it's something that you want to go over or something that you don't understand. I'm saying this because what if it's something that you don't understand or you want to go over, what good is it keeping it to yourself? You know what I'm saying? If you let me know that, then we could be able to go through that, and prayerfully it could also be a benefit to others, because you don't know who else may have that same question or want to know that same topic. You know what I'm saying? So if you on that platform and you desire to be able to this is probably the first time I done put my government name on here. All you got to do is send a friend request right here, man. On that, man, you can link up with me, and then we can do that. Now, if you just want to holler at me one-on-one, you know what I'm talking about? You know, just let me know. I shoot you my number, man. You call me, whatever case may be. All I'm concerned with is the ability to get the information that you desire to know, to understand. That's all I'm concerned with. You know what I'm saying? Now, if that don't pertain to you and you don't care about that, that is fine. All I'm doing is making you aware that that is available if you so choose to use it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't mad if you don't choose to use it. Ain't no skin on my back. Ain't gonna make me no never mind. So bless y'all, the house of Elohim, in the name of Yahushua, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all just keep standing, grinding, and growing, and focusing on becoming the son and daughter of Elohim that Yahuwah desires you to be. And always remember, it's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Let no man take your crown. And do what you got to do so you can be where you want to be and get what it is that you desire to have. Because everybody don't want that. You know what I mean? So just be focused, man. Don't get caught up in all this external stuff that people got going on and be arguing about, man. Your soul got to be saved at the end of the day. Your soul got to be saved. We told these brothers this yesterday. A lot of y'all boys know a lot of things, but will that save your soul, though? You know what I'm saying? Your soul has to be saved. So make sure, and the responsibility of the deliverance of your soul rests with you. I can't save it. Not another preacher can't save it. Your children can't save it. Your wife can't save it. Your husband can't save it. Your parents can't save it. That's your responsibility. You know what I'm saying? So don't let anybody make you believe that the responsibility of saving your soul is not important, because this is literally life or death. You know what I'm saying? But y'all willing, like I said, man, Friday night, man, 8 o'clock, man. We're going to go more in depth about, oh, wretched man, who would deliver me from the body of this death. Because that's our objective, to get delivered from the body of this death. If God so be so merciful in allowing us to be able to accomplish that. So y'all willing till the Shabbat, man. Sure, it's all good, my G. We're going to get up out of here, man. Brandon, man, I'm going to slide you in that chat, though, because we are friends on that. So